Record.
We'll call this meeting to order. Item number 2. Who's calling the roll?
Roll call.
You'll call the roll, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Veronica Cordova,
Here.
Preston Elkins,
Here.
Rustin South,
Here.
Michael Trujillo,
Here.
and Chris Wood is absent, and Mike Miller was invited as ex officio, and he's not here either, so. But we do have a quorum.
Okay, item 3, approval of minutes for the meeting that was held on July 29, 2024. They are in your packet for your review.
Reviewed them earlier, everything looked good. Make a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Self and a second by Mr. Preston. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, discussion and action items. Item A is review of bills, expense report for July and August for recommendation to the city council for ratification. Ms. Rivera.
Okay, so in your packet, you'll see the 2 different months with the summary sheet in front of them to give you an overall total for each fund that was expended in the month of July. And then the same for August. You can see a significant difference, and you'll start to see some of these expenditures really go out as we start some of these projects. You know, typically in July, we kind of wait to pay some stuff because we're still paying into our previous fiscal year. So, I'll stand for any questions on any of the bills. I know it's a lot of information, but at least you have it all in case you have questions, you can refer back to it.
I wrote it down, I was gonna ask, there were several healthcare expenses. And the payable number was different, but I was curious, like on the account number, those would be the same, is that just?
So right
how
now,
that works, or-
what falls into our healthcare GL account, if that's what you're referring to, is what we pay our GSD, our state for the medical benefits. And then some employees also have pay into Aflac. So you'll see some different vendors and payables in that healthcare GL also.
See if I can find that spot, but like 1 month it would be 38,000. And the next month it was
So
a few weeks.
there
ago.
was, it usually is, we pay bi-weekly, so in one of those 2 weeks, it'll be about 38,000. And then the next one will be also about 38 to 40,000. So total for the month, it's what, like 80,000, yeah. So we might have processed one check, you know, and now we're holding them to pay up at the end of the month.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do we need to approve these 1 month at a time, or do we approve both on one motion or recommend?
We can, yeah, I recommend to do both of them.
Okay. What is the recommendation of the committee?
I'll move for approval for both months.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Elkins and a second by Mr. Self. I was gonna say Mr. Preston. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item B, presentation and action for FY 2025 for first quarter budget adjustments and resolution 2024-32. That's 2024-32.
Yes, okay, so this page will have all the budget adjustments that I have. You can see there's 4 pages. There's like a whole bunch of them. We're not gonna go over each one like we did our last meeting because it take forever. But in our last meeting, we talked about submitting pretty much the same budget that was submitted for fiscal year 24, and our fiscal year 25, we'd have to work off of budget adjustments to clean that up. So that's what all of these budget adjustments represent. Myself and our manager, we met with a lot of all the department heads to figure out what we needed for their budget to capture a lot of their projects or grants that we still needed to put on our budget. So to kind of guide you and show you how this works, these pages here, so you have the recap. This budget represents what's our pending budget adjustments, so it'll include how it affects with these in there, okay? This is a state website in the portal. This is the DFA that approves our budgets, okay? So, the fund will tell you what fund we're doing the budget adjustment on, and then the department. And then whether the object code, whether it's a revenue or an expenditure that we're adjusting, and then the adjustment, and then what it leaves that line item after the adjustment, okay? So the first 2 pages, you will see that we made budget adjustments to our general fund. And then all the respective departments. In general fund, to touch on some of the kind of the bigger adjustments, is we had a transfer in, somehow it got recorded in the budget that got approved to transfer in more money from water, but that's not the case, so I'm reducing that. You'll see that adjustment 738,000 to take that out, to put it back into the water enterprise fund. And then also we had the recreation fund in our general fund had still budgeted, I think over 160,000. We don't have a recreation fund or recreation anymore. And so I took those expenses out. And then I also removed the revenue we got from the county. I believe it was last fiscal year, 175,000 for the EMS to spend. So you can see that I took that out because we don't have an agreement, so we can't budget for revenue that we're not going to get or predicting to get. So that 160,000 from the recreation fund, the revenue that we took out kind of stayed fully balanced.
Ms. Rivera, did that 160 go just back into the general fund?
Yes, back into general fund, yes. I did put a budget, increase the budget to our attorney fees in general fund. It was budgeted at 50,000. I did move from the municipal clerk had 50,000. Their total budget and workers' comp premium was 100,000. We don't need 100,000 because our workers' comp premium was only 32,000 that we got billed. So I was able to move 50,000 from that and put it to the attorney fees, so that the budget for attorney fees is 100,000. Although I'm thinking it will be much more than that, but still, at least we budgeted already 100,000 for it.
That was gonna be my question on, is that going to be enough? Cause I would think hiring an in-house attorney is gonna be double or triple that.
I don't,
It won't, the 100,000 won't be enough.
it won't, but I think who we're targeting, and I'll go over this in the council meeting on Tuesday, because I'm asking for the commission to do that, because we have to change the structure. But we're targeting public defenders. I have the list of what their salaries are, and so I think if we go within that range, I think we're gonna put out feelers, and we have people that are gonna help us look. So I think we can do. I think we can save a little bit of money. I don't think we have to go as much as we would pay contract.
Do you know off the top of your head, what did we pay the contracted attorney in 12 months?
Last year was 187,000, which was almost $100,000.
Yeah.
Yes, it was almost $100,000 over budget last year, or what was budget. Which is why we want to go with a staff attorney. Because you have a contracted attorney, and if you have extra things, you can't account for that cost. It's really. Unless we budgeted $250,000, probably capture it.
Okay. Would that, what is budgeted cover the benefits that they're getting, or is that just salary?
So that wouldn't cover the benefits. So if we're budgeting just about 100, we need to include about another 50 for benefits.
Okay.
So if that's the case, we would do another budget adjustment to our payroll to add that. Okay, is there any questions on any of the other general fund budget adjustments that you see?
That third line where it says the other changes for service on the no department in the general fund.
The 135,000?
Yeah.
That's the one that we're removing
Okay.
for the dispatch fees.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's what that is. And then also we took out the 32,359 because we also don't have a joint powers agreement to request the 30,000 that we're getting for fire and EMS. And then there was a vending and concession proceeds, 2,000 that also we didn't have a vending that I'm aware of, so. I don't want to bank on $2,000.
The fire recruitment fund on those new hires that we had approved, does that 225 include the grant, or is that in addition to the state funding for those positions?
So the 225 that you see on there, that is to establish the budget, $225,000 of revenue. And you'll see the $225,000 for the expenditure. And that'll be for salaries, benefits, everything to cover those. Employees.
3 hires, yes.
So the first year's 225, the second year
It
is.
just decreased.
Decrease, yes.
Okay, so, an EMS fund, fire protection fund, you'll see all those budget adjustments to match what we were actually allotted. First, State Fire Marshal, and then the EMS Allotment Act, I think it's $100 or 100,000. So you'll see those budget adjustments to clean those up. The firefighter recruitment fund, that's also in there. You'll see the reversion that we have to pay back $58,848 for the funds that we received in FY24 that we did not use. Lodgers tax, budget adjustments to reflect what was budgeted and awarded, I guess, in a sense, from the last Lodgers tax committee meeting. Municipal street fund, you will see some significant budget adjustments. So we're taking out 2 million because I don't know how that got captured in the last budget. I don't know if it was maybe, I don't know if Javier or somebody captured thinking we still have that for Kilgore project available or not. But that 2 million, we're taking it out to reflect really what is left. So the 1.2 million that is left in that budget will be 739,000 that's left for Kilgore project. 350,000 for capital outlay equipment. And LGRF co-op is like 166,000. So that's currently what should be in that budget. And then I believe they're bringing before council a $400,000 agreement for capital outlay. But once that's fully executed, then we'll have a budget adjustment to put it in there.
Are those 400,000 already marked for certain roads, or is that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Is that?
yeah,
No.
that's a different one that'll be coming before council too, I think. Next meeting.
Yeah, grants. Same.
They good.
So as those come before council, then you'll start to see them in the budget adjustments as well. $85,000 to other fines and forfeits in the special revenue fund is the traffic cameras. We're just now starting to see that revenue come in, so that is to establish that fund. Since it needs to be kept track of course, not in our general fund.
And
85,
that 85 is our portion, that's,
so that's what we've received from after they bill us for the fees. But then from this, we're able to deduct like whatever payroll expenses we had for that equipment or whatever, but then 50% of that, I believe, goes back to the state. So some of it has to go back to the state. So we're not gonna keep a lot of that. Hopefully 50% of this 85 that we received so far.
And is that including the additional cameras that we're putting on?
This does not include the additional cameras.
Will those not be done in this fiscal year?
I don't know when those will be done.
That's,
He's-
he has to go through.
The
DOT.
process of it, yeah.
He has to go through the DOT, they have to actually give him approval, and then he has to get another approval from council to actually get those cameras. put in. So that does not.
There were no cameras proposed for a certain spot.
No,
Just
they are
started
not.
the process to.
He started the process.
Any,
Because it's a state road,
Anywhere.
and it's on state roads, is what he really is looking for, and it may not necessarily be cameras. It may just be signs to tell you your
Flashing
speed
lights.
and flashing lights and stuff like that, so that we can. So,
Other capital projects, so other capital projects will capture a lot of our grants. And, we have the $997,000 Healthy Living Grant, so that's what that 1.2 million represents. And I don't remember what it is. Oh, and then 240,000 from the growth fund, 160,000 for vehicles, 80,000 for equipment. So that's what that represents. And we have, so the 550,000 represents the animal control grant. That's $350,000 to build and design that shelter. And then 200,000 for the ambulance capital outlay. That fire chief, I believe, is looking to utilize this 200,000, then he got a $205,000 grant to be able to put it together and purchase that ambulance. And then you'll see that 2 million again taken out of infrastructure because that does not exist in the capital outlay projects. In the water transfer, you'll see that we're not taking out 2.3 million, we're decreasing it by that 738, so that one transfers out is 1.5 million. And then in the water enterprise fund again, we're moving 200,000 from contract professional services and putting that 200,000 into the temporary positions that they utilize those temporary employees from its funds to do some of the, or fill in some of the roles. So that's what that is. And then they've requested, you can see moving 200 or 20,000 from their maintenance and 5,000 from their land that was not being utilized in the budget and putting it in vehicles so that they can purchase, I believe, a specific unit they're looking to, like a tool truck or something. So that's what that
So-
90,000.
it's for, just a small truck, so they. So.
It looks like about 102 model.
Yeah, Ford Ranger, yeah, they're just trying to get a small little Maverick. So they can.
And solid waste requested an increase of 80,000 because of their roll off. I guess that's about 45,000 a month.
Really what?
Where they take the trucks to Clovis, right?
Oh,
So that's what
sorry,
that is,
phase.
yeah. And that, the landfill, yeah. That's,
We're not sure. if they're-
so I will stand for any questions on budget adjustments.
And through,
So our next plan, is to bring before some, ARPA expenditures for that budget, and then we will also be bringing forward like payroll, and personnel, because also that's gonna affect the budget since there's a lot of positions that, were vacant, now we have different personnel in there. Not only that, but benefits have gone up, and so we need to be sure to capture that in our budget.
Do you have any other questions on, the budget adjustment? For Q1? Okay, and if none, what is the recommendation to council?
Motion to approve.
second,
Motion by Mr. Cope and a second by Mr. Preston. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is other business, any matter not known about or which could not have been reasonably foreseen prior to the time of the posting of the agenda. Do we have any items in other business? No items.
I did want to just share about the property tax.
Oh, yes.
So Ms. Veronica had brought this up at like 2 meetings ago about using what we had increased our property tax to for some of these matches that we're asking for. So I calculated out the increase, which was 1.47. So the collection difference was $10,144. And if we move 50% of that, it'd be $5,072 to the streets fund. So I don't know why in my brain, I was like, okay, maybe 50,000 or something, but
Well, when it was presented to us, it was real.
Right before.
Right before, when it was presented, it looked like it was going to be like 300,000, and then the split was gonna be like 176. So it looked like we were gonna have more for. So I don't know if they were figuring the full total of what we receive or what the increase is. So I probably need to do a little bit of research as to what was actually said, if it was going to be on the increase or the total as to what we agreed to. But I'll have to go to those
Okay.
meeting minutes to look at that.
and then that way it'll give me better direction, okay, if we're moving that from, because right now it is in general fund. And if the 5,000 needs to be moved to our street fund, or just the increase. Thankfully, like, I know our tax values keep going up, so our tax revenue has increased because of that. Now, the 1.47 increase was captured at 100% the first year, but now FY 25, FY 26, it goes into this yield control formula that it won't be exactly the 1.47. It's controlled because as tax values go up, then they control that formula.
so on our property tax increase. Gross across the total is only 10 grand, is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, total increased. I'd have to look back. It was maybe 147,000 increase or so. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 150. I'll have to look at it, but the 1.47 was only 10,000.
What is the 1.47? I thought that was the increase.
The 1.47 is the increase, and it's the 10,000 that's what captures that percentage based on what we received. We received 700,000 from revenues
For property taxes.
for property taxes.
And that was 150,000 more than the year before.
It was a little bit more total, but not because of the 1.47 that you guys elected to increase. It's based on the 4-point-something%. I'll have to get the tax rate sheet, but that's what that's based on. It used to be like 3-point-something, then, the city elected to do the 1.47 increase, so it's like 4-point-something. And that's the 700,000 is based on that 4 point whatever tax rate it is. But all I was trying to capture is the 1.47.
So it seems, you know, you're always in my head. 150,000.
So we just increased our 4% by 1.4%. We did not add an additional to where it is 5.something%. Because I don't know how your math is working on only 10 grand if we're bringing in 700,000. I can't figure that
It
out.
was only 10,000 on the 1.4% raise, so not off of the total cut, so not off of the 4.7.
Yeah, it's not off
So it's
the,
not it's not money off of the 4.7, it's just off of what you're getting off of the 1% increase. So the 1.47 increase for the year is only an extra, is only $10,000 in that
Okay,
number.
Mhm, yeah, you're right.
It is,
It's a lot of math.
that's not even.
And I did go back to our treasurer, Lael, to make sure, and yeah, she verified it.
Well, I appreciate that work that you did on that, and, I will go back to those meeting minutes just to see, or those even, videos, just so I can get it in my head, because I just feel like that number is really, really small. Okay, any other business? Okay, with that, we are adjourned.